Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today I want to talk about Hollowbody electric guitars. They are a particular style and type of instrument that I have never gotten along with. I've always had kind of issues with the way they looked. When I have tried to embrace one, like a 335 or a Gretsch or a Rickenbacker, and I grab one and I play it, or if a friend of mine or a colleague has one, I always try to make the effort to see if it is something that I can get into. And over the years, I found that it is not something I can get into. However, during the COVID lockdown, I took it upon myself to think more about Hollowbody electric guitars and what would I do if I were to make one myself. And that is this guitar right here. This guitar is a hand-built instrument using mahogany, ebony, and an interesting fact is that the actual body outline that we see here is made of old laminate flooring material that I glued together and then cut the interior out to make the guitar hollow. I then laminated mahogany on the top and the back, and so most of the inside of this instrument is indeed hollow, except for a piece of wood extending to hold the bridge, and the wood, of course, for the bolt-on neck. The neck is made from scratch as well. The entire guitar is a scratch-built guitar. And I built it because I did want that cool, what I like about hollow bodies is when they're unplugged, they have a nice tone. You can play them almost like an acoustic guitar. They have sound, more sound than a solid body electric. So what I wanted is I wanted something while my kids were online learning. I wanted a guitar that I would be able to sit with and I would be able to play and be able to hear a little bit better than solid body electric, but not as loud as an acoustic. Just so I could just run scales and do little exercises and stuff while my kids were online without interrupting them, but being able to hear myself a little better. So I came up with the concept of this guitar. And my idea is that I didn't want to bend wood and I didn't want to do like an acoustic build. I have the stuff to do that. I have done some of that in the past, but I wanted to make the actual outline of the guitar out of solid wood because I wanted to use a bolt-on neck. The reason I wanted to use a bolt-on neck is because if something goes wrong with the neck, I can make another, or, have one I can repurpose a neck or whatever, but I like the flexibility in my builds of being able to take the neck on and off the instrument, and then the body would remain. I also had a very specific vision of what I wanted the body size to be. Most of the time with a hollow body electric guitar, my issue is that it's just super uncomfortable. So what I like about this is that it's really tight up here like a Les Paul, and then it's got a big butt on it. This side of the guitar is nice and big, so it's got a good resonant chamber. But I wanted it to be, comfortable for my arm up here. So I have it extended just to the right spot for my arm. I opted also not to do, I can't stand a tune-o-matic on a hollow body guitar, the tune-o-matic and the stop tailpiece. I wanted something that I could easily palm mute with. And so I bought this chrome piece and then put brass bridge saddles in, which are super nice and completely smooth, so that it's a very comfortable playing experience. So my issue with the 335, the Gretsch, and all those other classic style of hollow body guitars, I began with my concept of this instrument to whittle all of that away, getting down to the basic things that I wanted out of this guitar. And I've been very happy with it. The other thing with the, general ergonomics of the instrument, the other thing I went for, which just kind of fell into place as I was building, I had a big extra piece of ebony here. So I went ahead and made kind of an Art Deco headstock for it. I also opted to use a big piece of ebony for my control plate. It's all hollow under here, so I can just unscrew this, and I've gone through many iterations on the electronics of this guitar. We'll go over those when I do a little bit of playing here in a moment. But this giant control plate has been great for flexibility. I can easily just pop it out, and I can change things out. It also makes it super easy to change out pickups, which has happened. I guess really quickly, I should say that this is just a GoTaw 4-conductor wire, 5 if you count the ground, splittable pickup. So I have this wired in my usual series parallel single configuration on this little switch here. I have a bright switch here. I'm going to keep that actually in single coil mode for the entirety of this demo. There's no point in putting this into humbucker because we've got a humbucker right here, which is a pro bucker, which is a good bridge option for this guitar. When I'm doing lead stuff on this instrument, I really only use this pickup in the single coil mode. So as I'm sitting here and discussing the guitar, I will be just, you will have already seen a small gallery of pictures go by of the build. I will, if there is demand, or maybe someday I will do a build series on this guitar, just kind of documenting how I went through building every aspect of it. But today it's more about why I don't like hollow bodies and why I like this particular one and why I built it, why I was inspired to. Because I do think that hollow bodies do have a place, and I think they do have a good tone. But like I said, the aesthetics and the ergonomics of most hollow body electric guitars just do not agree with me. So I built my own. And I thought I would discuss it too, because the way that I built this, by just hollowing out a solid piece of wood and then laminating a top and back on it, that's something that makers like Reverend do. And I was kind of a little bit inspired by how they make guitars. But it's something that a DIYer can do fairly easily without having to heat and bend wood and do all that kind of stuff. Because this is just sawing out a shape and then sanding and gluing, which isn't that difficult compared to the idea of carving out a maple-topped, arch-top, semi-hollow or fully hollow electric guitar, which just seems incredibly daunting to me. I know that some people would go, oh, well, I took the easy way out. Maybe I did to a certain extent, but I also wasn't willing to put 2 years of labor, of hand labor, into making that kind of instrument. This build was relatively easy, and it took about 3 months from start to finish, which I think, that's attainable by most people, unless you are, wanting to go through that rigorous experience. All right, so we should take a little listen to the guitar, and that's clean on the neck. I do have a kill switch on here, which is just a handy thing to have. It's right by the output jack. So towards the output jack, you get output. When you take it over to there, you've got a kill switch. I already went over that this is the series parallel and single. In the middle is single, and I'm keeping it there. Now, if we want to thin things out, whoops, I had it on kill. If we want to thin things out, I've got the bright switch. We'll go ahead and turn that off and go back to our normal without the tone cap cut in there. And that is the neck pickup single, and I just love the clarity of it. Then we go to the humbucker in the bridge position, and we'll get a very bright tone. Let's kick a little dirt on. And that, of course, is a great rhythm sound, just for doing, any sort of power chord or bar chord kind of stuff. And it's good for lead tones as well. Let's go ahead and go back up to the neck position with dirt. And once again. And then we got our middle position, which I'll kick the dirt back off. And our middle position, as I always do with the middle position, is nice for doing those kind of acoustic-y kind of tones. Although in the clean position, with no dirt, I still maintain that the single coil humbucker is the way to go for just kind of like strumming around. So I just wanted to talk about Hollowbody electric guitars, why I don't like them in general, but why, this guitar, probably because I made it myself. And, I put all that, love and labor into the instrument. I really enjoy the tone and the sound of this instrument. And since I didn't find anything in the history of guitar or on the current marketplace that scratched my itch for a Hollowbody, I went ahead and made one myself. So, once again, just encouraging people to think outside of the box, go with that DIY instinct, and maybe go, hey, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build myself a guitar. And this, like I said, if anybody is interested, please leave it in the comments if you would like to see a more detailed account of how I actually made this guitar. I used, very basic techniques. The truss rod is under the fingerboard. Adjustments right here. Like I said, the body is just very simply a bolt-on. It's a bolt-on neck. The body is hollow, but it does have a solid piece of wood running to this point to keep that bridge stable and to give it that resonance that kind of goes all the way around the hoop of the guitar. And then, like I said, these pickups, the rings are metal to hold them very steady on the top of the guitar because there is nothing underneath there. The only thing holding these pickups in is the top of the guitar itself, which is a thin layer of mahogany, the same kind of mahogany that you would use to build an acoustic guitar. So, I would like to thank everybody who's watched up to this point. If you have watched to this point, I would appreciate a like, a subscribe, and a share. Comments. Always love the comments. Please tell me what you think of this guitar that I have built. Tell me what you think about Hollowbodies in general. And please smash that subscribe button for me so we can keep the channel growing and we can bring more interesting content and more interactive content in the future. All right, you take care and we'll see you next time.